Hello, I'm Dr Christopher Massey and welcome to one of Teesside University's online videos. This video is here today to give you a chance to get to meet me and find a bit more about our politics and our history degrees. What I'm going to take you through over the next 10 minutes or so is a bit about why I came to do politics and history at uni, and also the things that I've done in my career, such as my activity in politics and also the research that I do as an academic at Teesside University. The way that we're going to go through this is I'm going to pull up a PowerPoint now, which will have a number of slides, and I'll talk over those slides, but I'll try and dip in and out to show you a few things along the way as well. So hopefully the PowerPoint has come up now on your main screen. As it says there, I'm Dr. Christopher Massey. I'm a lecturer in politics and history, and you'll see me in both the BA Politics and BA History degrees at Teesside University. I teach across the programme. I'll talk a bit about my teacher responsibilities later, but the main purpose for today is to give you a bit of an insight into the things that I do as an academic and as a teacher. So I'll start off with a bit of what my journey was. I think that sometimes students on the first day of term can often get a little scared and think that they're in a room with potentially a lot of people that they don't know and a number of members of staff that they don't know either. One thing that's really important to recognise is that all the members of staff have been in the same situation as the students who are sitting often in front of them. So obviously, as a history/politics lecturer, I have done a variety of things that at university that involve history and politics. I did a BA history degree and I focused on Stalin's Russia as my main project there. I did an MA history degree and I looked at the post-war Labour governments of Clement Attlee for that. And then the main kind of piece that led me down an academic path was I undertook a doctorate. And what a doctorate is, it's PhD. It allows academics to use the title doctor, but it's an original contribution to knowledge. So it's something that's either never been written before or it's a new interpretation about an event that has took place. My doctorate is on public ownership and the Labour governments of 1945 to 51. And one thing that I wanted to look at here was the case of steel nationalisation. So without taking you into too much depth about what my research is, or for my dissertation, for my doctorate, the Labour governments of 45-51 are often regarded as some of the most successful of all time. Clement Attlee polls very highly, particularly amongst academics, as being one of the greatest ever prime ministers. This is because he introduced the NHS, social welfare, etc., the welfare state into Britain. But what my doctoral thesis looks at is an element of Attlee's governments which didn't go particularly well, and that was the nationalisation of steel. That was my original contribution there. My career since then has spanned a number of things. Some of these you may be interested in doing when you complete your degree yourself, but I've been active in frontline politics as a local councillor since 2011. I was the National Park member of the North York Moors National Park. I was appointed to that body. I've been a secondary school teacher, a researcher, and now a lecturer. So this slide here, our next slide, is to just give you an overview of the things that you would see me on if you took a degree at Teesside University in history or politics. So I teach across a number of British political history modules. The titles of a number of these modules have changed recently, but I tend to teach on anything that's beyond about 1800 to the modern day. And that's the same for European history as well as it is for British political history. My specialist subject, as you may have gathered from my brief introduction to my doctoral research, is the Labour Party. And I run a module called Labour Pains, which looks at the Labour Party since 1945. And this allows me to get my research into the classroom. It gives me the opportunity to teach students about the things that I'm researching, the books that I'm writing, etc. And students get to experience, hopefully, my depth of knowledge on that topic in some real depth. I also teach on the BA Politics degree, an introduction to politics and an introduction to national relations, as well as contemporary political issues, so anything from Brexit, Donald Trump, coronavirus that we're going through at the moment, things that are very modern, very contemporary, propaganda and political communications, which takes part of my Labour Party research, and for instance, someone like Peter Mandelson, who was one of the first spin doctors in Britain, and Alistair Campbell, but all the way back to things such as Hitler's propaganda, Stalin's propaganda, etc. I teach on a modern American political history module, which runs from about 1972 to the modern day. That is on both BA Politics and BA History. And then finally, I also teach a little on the foundation year. The foundation year is level 3 or year 0. This is the year that some students take before they go on to a 3-year degree. It's often for students who've been out of education for a while and who do not meet the tariff points required. The next couple of slides are about my research, and the thing that I often do with students on the first day of term when I introduce myself in the classroom is I get them to look at this photograph of 5 individuals. So, if you can do this quickly, do it quickly. If you need to take a breath, take a pause the slide at this point. Tell me if you can name all 5 people on the slide. So hopefully you've had a chance to do that. And if you haven't paused, please pause now and have a think about it. But generally speaking, most people get at least 2. A number of people who are really interested in British politics get 3. Some younger students do struggle with the 4th, but no one ever gets the 5th. And I mean ever. And this is what I'm trying to show about what academic research can be. So from left to right, the people on the slide are Robin Cook. And the guy in the middle at the back is Tom Sawyer, and he's the one that nobody gets. Front, middle, centre, Tony Blair, then John Prescott to his right, and then Gordon Brown on the far right of the photograph. So most people get the 4 individuals who were politicians, who were MPs. So Robin Cook, Tony Blair, John Prescott, and Gordon Brown were all members of Parliament. Gordon Brown and Tony Blair were both Prime Minister. But Tom Sawyer was a backstage actor in the Labour Party, but yet was very significant. And my research has been to try and bring his role a bit more to the front. So a little slide on who Tom Sawyer was. Tom Sawyer is a Labour Party lord, but he's famous for being the General Secretary of the Labour Party. So he was the General Secretary, which means he was their chief executive in effect from 94 to 98. He was made a life peer, which is a lord, for his contributions to politics and the trade union movement in 1998. But Tom originally is from Darlington. He left school at 14, 15 and made his way up through the union movement. He's not a traditional landed lord. He is what's known as a people's peer. And he was Teesside University's Chancellor between 2004 and 18, which is how I got to know him. And like I said, his main kind of contribution outside of the Labour Party was in the trade union movement. So NUPE became Unison. So you may have heard of Unison, the trade union. Tom was effectively second in charge of that union. His key contribution to the Labour Party is that he was once a very hard left individual. He took the Labour Party from being on the hard left to being more what's called the soft left. So in this way, he contributed greatly to Labour's 97 victory. He also helped lead that campaign as the party's chief executive at the time. One of the key things about Tom as well is the fact that he kept a diary during this period. And this is a brilliant source for a historian or a political studies academic. And I'll try and show you a bit about the diary now. We'll come back out of the PowerPoint and I'm going to turn the camera around and I'll show you what I got when I first started to work at university when I was a researcher and what I got to work with. So I got told that Tom Sawyer was my project and I should find out a bit more about him. But Tom had just happened to keep these old books, and what was in the old books was effectively a diary. So here's an example of one of those diaries. There are 6 of these. And these span all the way from 1982 to 1998. And these are unpublished resources which tell you pretty much everything that happened on a daily basis in the Labour Party and the trade union movement, particularly as Tom became General Secretary. And so what you can kind of see from this diary is this is one book of it. It's all handwritten. So this is 1983 to 1986. So it spans 3 years. And there are handwritten pages of basically every date in that period. So this is from 1983, which was one of Tom's first meetings within the Labour Party when he becomes a senior union official. So my research really focused on that. I used those diaries and used a variety of other academic sources and interviews to produce what became this. So this is my first book. It was called The Man at the Back. It used the photo I've just shown you of Tom Sawyer to show that this guy really was one of the key architects of what we call New Labour, but has been uncredited because he wasn't an MP. He was someone who did this at the back of the room. And he was somebody who was a chief executive and manager, but not a politician. So that I took those diaries and effectively made this book, which is in Teesside University's library. And this kind of takes you through Tom's life, but also includes, as you may be able to see there, includes references from his diary on a number of occasions. So there's one from November 1984. That was my first real research project at kind of a university academic level where it was published. And the next kind of thing I've done from that, which I'll try and take you back onto the slide now. So here's a list of my broader list of publications. So my main kind of piece of research is something called The Modernisation of the Labour Party. This is with Manchester University Press, and it's out in July 2020. But I've also contributed a number of articles over the years, including a lot on the militant tendency and the left wing in British politics. and also things on nationalisation, etc. So my publications kind of showcase the things I'm interested in and showcase what things that you could learn at Teesside, because, as I've said, I teach a Labour Party module and a lot of modules that feature modern British politics and politics, etc. One final slide that I just thought I'd share with you is that obviously all the academics at the university, they have a life outside of the university, and they've got experiences outside of just what they bring at Teesside in the classroom. And my experience, and one of the reasons that I'm one of the teachers on the politics degree, is that I'm quite experienced in local politics, particularly in this local area around Middlesbrough, so Redcar and Cleveland in particular. So I've been a local councillor since 2011. I've won 3 elections in 2011, 15 and 19. I was the deputy leader of my council, Redcar and Cleveland, for 3 years between 2017 and 2019. I was the second in command, effectively, for quite a while. I was a cabinet member for the vast majority of the period until quite recently. As I've said previously, I've sat on the North York Moors National Park Authority. This was for 6.5 years. I was part of the local government's Next Generation, and I was a member of the local government's National Board on Resources, which effectively is finance. So I have a wide variety of experience in local government alongside my academic published experience within a university setting. So I hope you found that a bit interesting. It was a really quick tour through my academic career and my political career, and it's just there to try and give you an idea of what the staff here are interested in, what we teach and what we research. And I hope that A, you found it interesting, and B, that you found it useful. Hopefully I'll get to meet a number of you if you become students at Teesside University over the coming year or 2 years, or even further beyond in the future. So my contact details are here on this last slide. As I've said, thank you very much for listening and watching the video through, and I hope to see or hear from you soon. Thank you.